Paddy Chayefsky. Paddy Chayefsky was a great screenwriter. He started in the 50s on the TV shows like Peyton Place and Requiem for a Heavyweight. No, that was Rod Steiger. Anyway, or Rod Sterling. He wrote Network. He won an Oscar for Network. One of the greatest screenplays ever. A great movie. Incredibly prescient. And he also made a movie about the medical field. He did media with Network, and then he did a movie called The Hospital to star George C. Scott as a hospital administrator, where someone's like doing murders, like patients are being killed, and they don't know who it is, and he plays this beleaguered. And it's all about just like the cynicism and failure of the medical thing, about a field, like how it's a business, how it doesn't care about health, how it's like soul-crushingly bureaucratic, how it doesn't cure, it only seeks to, it doesn't seek to cure. And then he at one point after, towards the end of the movie, there's a big rant, and George C. Scott is like, he's a classic Greatest Generation, like Don Draper type. He's like a Don Draper for hospital. That's actually kind of a good comparison. He is like the Don Draper of hospital administration. And he's got, but like a little older, so like Greatest Generation instead of Korean War, or World War II instead of Korea. Anyway, and he has a young hippie son. It's called The Hospital. All right, here it is. You're wasting your time. I've been impotent for years. What the hell is wrong with being impotent? Kids are more hung up on sex than the Victorians. I got a son, 23 years old. I threw him out of the house, just... Ah, bollocks. I fucked that up. All right, let me try that again. All right, let's start over. You're wasting your time. I've been impotent for years. What the hell is wrong with being impotent? Kids are more hung up on sex than the Victorians. I got a son, 23 years old. I threw him out of the house last year. Pietistic little humbug. He preached universal love and he despised everyone. Had a blanket contempt for the middle class, even its decencies. He detested my mother because she had a petite bourgeois pride in her son, the doctor. I cannot tell you how brutishly he ignored that rather good lady. When she died, he didn't even come to the funeral. He felt the chapel service was a hypocrisy. He told me his generation didn't live with lies. I said, listen, everybody lives with lies. I grabbed him by the poncho and I dragged him the length of our 7-room, despicably affluent middle-class apartment, and I flung him out. I haven't seen him since. You know what he said to me? He's standing there on the landing, on the verge of tears. He shrieked at me, "You old fink, you can't even get it up anymore." That was it, you see. That was his real revolution. It wasn't racism, the oppressed poor, or the war in Vietnam. No, the ultimate American social sickness was a limp dingus. My God, if there is a more despised, misunderstood minority in this country, it is our poor, impotent bastards. Well, I'm impotent, and I'm proud of it. I don't mean merely limp. Disagreeable as it may seem to a woman, a man may lust for other things, something a little less transient than an erection. A sense of permanent worth. That's what medicine was to me. My reason for being. Miss Drummond, when I was 34, I presented a paper before the annual convention of the Society of Clinical Investigation that pioneered a whole goddamn field of immunology. A breakthrough. I'm in all the textbooks. I happen to be an eminent man, Miss Drummond. You know something else, Miss Drummond? I don't give a goddamn. When I say impotent, I mean I've lost even my desire to work. That's a hell of a lot. That's a hell of a lot more of primal passion than sex. I've lost my reason for being, my purpose, the only thing I've ever truly loved. Well, it's all rubbish, isn't it? I mean, transplants, antibodies, we manufacture genes, we can produce birth echogenetically? We could practically clone people like carrots, and half the kids in the ghetto haven't even been inoculated for polio. We have established the most enormous medical entity ever conceived, and people are sicker than ever. We have cured nothing. We heal nothing. The whole goddamn wretched world is strangulating in front of our eyes. That's what I mean when I say impotent. There we go. Little George C. Scott. Mad props to George C. Scott. He was a guy who always said he hated the Oscars. He wouldn't go to the Oscars. He didn't care about the Oscars. He didn't think actors should do that. He thought it was a craft. He thought it was an art. And he didn't like them being brought out like show ponies to be like judged on the hoof. And so when he got the Oscar for Patton, he not only didn't show up, he rejected it. He said, "Don't give it to me. I don't want it." Respect. It was a goddamn meat market. Man, he ruled. Come on, George C. Scott, Buck Turgidson, fucking Dr. Strangelove. Phenomenal. One of the great characters in Kubrick. I'm not saying we wouldn't get our hair mussed. 10 to 8 million, depending on the breaks. Phenomenal. Also, of course, yes, the hospital he's great in. Fucking hardcore. Turn it off. Turn it off. Patton. Where he played Patton as a psychopath, and he became like worshipped by like reactionaries. That's so perfect that like Coppola and Scott saw Patton as like a maniac, and the whole movie was about how he was insane. And guys like Nixon loved it. Nixon used to watch it over and over again on the presidential yacht to like fire himself up to bomb the North Vietnamese, because you're representing this insanity, and if somebody shares that insanity, it's like looking through a keyhole. It's like, oh my God, this movie speaks directly to me. That's how you know it's a good movie, honestly, because it really does. It's like actually exploring something. It's not just like sterilely replicating it.